From KVUE News in Austin, you're watching Texas This Week with Ashley Goodo.
Good morning. We are almost 2 months into the 89th Texas Legislative Session. So, how is everyone getting along? Scott Braddock, editor of Harvey Cronberg's Quorum Report, joins us for a pulse check. But first, let's get to the 3 things you need to know in Texas politics. Texas Comptroller Glenn Hager will be the Texas A&M University System Chancellor. The university's Board of Regents announced the pick Friday. Hager has served as comptroller since 2015. The Aggie alum will oversee 11 universities and more than 150,000 students. We're getting an idea of how much money lawmakers spent on the impeachment of Attorney General Ken Paxton. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick posted this video on X Thursday, saying House Speaker Dustin Burrows handed him 2 boxes of expenditures, which he handed over to the state auditor. Patrick says the documents show the House spent $4.4 million on impeachment proceedings, 10 times more than what he says the Senate spent. This Thursday and Friday, U.S. Congressman Sylvester Turner of Houston will lie in honor in the hall of the Texas House of Representatives. Congressman Turner served in that chamber for 27 years before becoming the mayor of Houston. He served 2 terms as the city's leader and in January started his first term in the U.S. House of Representatives. Turner died early Wednesday morning at his home in Washington, D.C. from what his family calls enduring health complications. He was at the president's address to Congress Tuesday night before going to the hospital and then later being released. Congressman Sylvester Turner was 70 years old. Well before Texas lawmakers took the oath of office to serve in the 89th legislature, there was drama. Tensions running high amongst the members of the GOP about who would serve as the House Speaker. And the person the state's top leaders endorsed is not the person who wields the gavel. So, how's everybody getting along? I sat down with a man who keeps his finger on the pulse of the legislature, Scott Braddock, editor of Harvey Cronberg's Quorum Report. Scott, thank you for taking some time to talk with us.
Of course, long time no see.
I know. I first want to start off by talking about the pulse of the legislature right now. How are folks getting along?
You know the right questions to ask. You've done this before. You know that in the beginning of the legislative session, it's the time when the lieutenant governor, the speaker, and the governor, all the members of the House and Senate, it's the time when they build relationships that they will burn to the ground about 3 months from now when they start fighting about all of the issues that really matter to Texans: property taxes, school funding, school vouchers, all these things that are on the table. It will cause real friction, and it'll go downhill from here.
What's interesting, though, I think, is we saw so much friction going into this session about the speaker's race. And you even had the lieutenant governor, the governor. They were not team Speaker Dustin Burrows,
correct.
right? They were not team Burrows. They were. So talk to us about how that dynamic, do you think it's changed? Is it for the good? Is everyone kind of getting along right now?
I have never seen, and no one's ever seen, the lieutenant governor, whether it was Dan Patrick or anyone else in that office, push in against a speaker candidate the way that Patrick pushed in against Burrows when Burrows was running. Patrick was on the warpath to have someone else be elected, and that didn't happen. Afterward, Patrick came back and said, he did some interviews where he said something like, I'm going to give Dustin Burrows a chance to be what he has said he would be, which is the most conservative speaker in the history of Texas. It's my understanding that they have, in the meantime, had some private meetings that have been said to be, this is the phrasing, possibly productive. So we'll see if they are able to get along and cut some deals on big issues.
When we talk about those big issues, obviously the biggest one for the governor, seemingly, right, is the education savings accounts.
Yep.
The Senate has already passed its version, similar to what happened last session, right, and in those special sessions. How do you think it's going in the House? The governor keeps saying he has the votes. So are the votes really there?
Not sure. The bill that's been filed in the House, that's HB 3 for people who are keeping up with this, supposedly it has enough support to pass in the form it's in now. But as this goes through the legislative process, as you know, there will be changes made to it, and you can either gain support or lose support based on what kind of changes end up being made. And I think, in the House, The governor certainly moved things, in his direction during the Republican primaries last year. When he just went scorched earth against Republican members of the House who disagreed with him on this. He lied about Republicans, on their records about border security, et cetera, to try to get this across the finish line. He's in better position to get this done, but nothing's done until the fat lady sings, as they say, and until the House and Senate actually agree on what they want to do. As you point out, the Senate's passed its version, the House has its own version, and the debate still has to play out. A lot of baseball left to play here.
One of the things I think is interesting is we saw all of those, sort of this new round of rural Republicans get elected because of what happened in the primaries.
Yeah.
They're going to have to answer to their constituents. And do you feel as though the constituents are going to be supportive of an ESA plan?
Hasn't been going well so far. You may
Right.
have seen there's been some town halls around the state in liberal enclaves. Of course, I'm kidding. In places like Palestine, Texas, deep East Texas. I think it might be illegal to be liberal out there. It's not at all a left-wing place, and you had the state representative for the area and the chairman of the Public Education Committee on stage in a town hall setting, and they were almost booed off the stage by rural Texans who don't agree with the school voucher program. Same thing happened in Central Texas with Chairman Buckley and Helen Kerwin, who's a brand new state representative who was elected in large part by the governor last year on this issue of passing school vouchers. So they're getting a lot of pushback from their communities on this issue because, number one, school vouchers would do nothing to help the education of kids in rural areas because there are no private schools to speak of, not many. And two, there is the threat of reduced funding to those schools in those areas if you have rich people in Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin essentially getting coupons for their private schools' kids' education.
Yeah. I always like to ask you what are the other big things that you're watching? Obviously we've still got plenty of session to go, but so far, what's really catching your eye?
Well, they'll do something on border security, of course. They have to do that. That's it's almost by rote at this point. Republican primary voters care the most about that issue. The lieutenant governor has really become aggressive on two things that kind of came out of the blue. One is it seems like he wants to end the Texas lottery. You've seen this, the lieutenant governor on the warpath against the lottery. I don't think he can get rid of it, but what you'll probably see is some call for reforming the lottery, changing things up there, and you may see a different company running the lottery. They have a third-party vendor that runs that. Of course, right now it's a company called IGT. There's another company called Scientific Games that would like to run it, and we may see a new sheriff in town when it comes to the lottery. And the other is a complete ban on any products that contain THC. And of course, this would be moving Texas in the opposite direction, even from some conservative states like Arkansas, Oklahoma, have all moved toward medical marijuana legalization. And Texas, it looks like we're nowhere close to anything like that. I get the question all the time, when is Texas going to legalize at least medical marijuana? The lieutenant governor says he wants to get rid of it altogether. I don't think that's going to happen, but it prevents any conversation about expansion of what we already have, which is a very small program called the Compassionate Use Program.
Yeah, because we should note that getting rid of it completely, that would be a pretty tough sell in the House, I think.
I think so, and I think that'll the ban on THC products, that'll sail through the Texas Senate, but in the House, I think it would face an uphill climb.
The work of the Texas Legislature continues Monday with nearly a dozen committee meetings. Of course, we will continue to bring you the news of the session. That's Texas This Week.